July 30th, 2025, was supposed to be just another day, but it turned into something far more extraordinary. The streets of Birmingham, England, were filled with tens of thousands of people, each with a story to tell, a memory to share, and a love for a man whose music had shaped their lives in ways words couldn't describe. They were there for Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, as the city paid its final tribute to the rock legend. It all started in the quiet of the night before, as fans began gathering along Broad Street. By the morning, over 50,000 souls filled the streets, not just to witness a procession, but to honor someone who had made an indelible mark on their hearts. The sea of black was pierced with purple, Ozzy's favorite color. The crowd was diverse beyond measure, grandparents who'd been there from the start, young children wearing tiny band shirts, and everyone in between. It wasn't just a tribute to a musician, it was a celebration of a legacy that had transcended generations. As the cortege made its way through the streets, it passed by places that had been woven into Ozzy's story. In his childhood neighborhood of Aston, something unexpected happened. The hearse, adorned with purple flowers spelling out Ozzy, made its way past his childhood home, where an impromptu shrine of flowers, personal notes, and memorabilia stood. But it wasn't just the fans who felt the weight of the moment. Mrs. Margaret Thompson, who had known young John Michael Osbourne before the world knew him as Ozzy, stood at her gate, holding a photo of herself with him from 1962. Through her tears, she spoke about the boy who loved music, never imagining he'd become a man who would touch the world in ways she couldn't have dreamed. But what happened next? That's when the story really took a turn. As the hearse neared Villa Park, the stadium where Ozzy had just performed his last concert weeks earlier, the crowd did something that no one expected. Thousands, without any prior coordination, began to sing Iron Man. The sound was raw, powerful, and carried so much emotion that it echoed through the streets of Birmingham. It was as if the city itself was holding its breath, paying homage to the man who had given them so much. Sharon, Ozzy's wife, was overcome with emotion as she listened to the voices of thousands, a tribute to the man she had loved and built. A life with the atmosphere was indescribable. Grief and celebration mingled, creating something almost spiritual. As the procession continued down Broad Street, it became even more apparent that this wasn't just a farewell. It was a manifestation of community, one forged in music, in shared experiences, in a deep emotional connection. The crowd, though vast, was peaceful. Fans helped elderly attendees find better positions. Parents lifted children onto their shoulders, and strangers comforted each other as they wept. The police later praised the crowd for their conduct, calling it one of the most well-behaved large gatherings they'd ever witnessed. The most emotional moment came when the cortege reached Black Sabbath Bridge. There, a memorial site had sprung up. Flowers, personal letters, memorabilia, and even bottles of Jack Daniels lined the bridge. The band's Boston Brass Band, which had been accompanying the procession with classics, fell silent as the family stepped out to witness this overwhelming display of love. Sharon, Jack, Kelly, and even the typically private Amy Osbourne were there, reading the tributes left by fans. One message, in particular, caught Sharon's attention. A young mother wrote that Ozzy's music had saved her life when she was 16. Now she and her daughter listened to Black Sabbath together. Sharon held the note to her chest before placing it back among the flowers, visibly moved. But perhaps the most poignant moment was when Sharon, standing with her children, raised her hand in Ozzy's iconic peace sign. The crowd, in a moment of complete unity, returned the gesture, many of them lowering their phones and raising their own peace signs in solidarity. The sound of "Mama, I'm coming home" began to fill the air, softly at first, then growing louder, creating a haunting soundtrack to this deeply personal moment for the family. The fans had given them the space to grieve, showing a level of emotional intelligence that was nothing short of extraordinary. As the hearse continued its route, there were more moments of surprise. Local Birmingham residents, who weren't even Black Sabbath fans, came out to pay their respects. Free water was handed out to those who had been waiting for hours, and local restaurants offered food to those who had traveled from far and wide. The city had come together to honor its own, a moment that transcended fandom and became a symbol of community and love. One of the most touching moments came when the hearse paused near a group of disabled fans in wheelchairs. Without hesitation, Ozzy's grandson, Sidney, was carried over to meet these fans. The sight of the next generation of the Osbourne family being introduced to those who had supported his grandfather was so moving that even the toughest of metal journalists couldn't hold back their tears. This was more than just a funeral procession. It was a testament to the power of music, to the bond between an artist and his fans, and to the timeless nature of love and legacy. In those final moments, as the procession drew to a close, it was clear that the story of Ozzy Osbourne wasn't over. It had merely entered a new chapter, one that would live on in the hearts of those who had been touched by his music and his spirit. And for all of us, the world would never quite be the same again. The scale of the tribute to Ozzy Osbourne was beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Fans from every corner of the globe, from Brazil to Japan, Australia to countless other countries, made their way to Birmingham to pay their respects. What was truly remarkable was the way people embraced their diverse heritages. Some in traditional clothing, others proudly sporting Black Sabbath memorabilia. In that moment, cultural and geographical barriers dissolved, united by the shared love for Ozzy's music. Technology, too, played a vital role in bringing the world together. Over 5 million people tuned in simultaneously to the live stream of the Black Sabbath Bench, which had been running since Ozzy's passing. Social media platforms couldn't keep up, crashing as millions of fans flooded them with tribute videos, photos, and stories about what Ozzy's music had meant to them. #ThankYouOzzy trended globally for more than 24 hours, with people from all walks of life, including celebrities and politicians, coming together to honor the legendary rocker. What struck so many was the realization of how deeply Ozzy's music had touched lives. Stories poured in heartfelt confessions from fans who had been saved by his songs. A man from Scotland spoke of how Crazy Train had been playing on the radio the day he decided to not end his life in 1995. A grandmother from Wales shared how she and her late husband had bonded over Black Sabbath albums, now passing that legacy on to her grandchildren. A young soldier talked about how Ozzy's music helped him cope with PTSD after returning from deployment. Time and again, fans spoke of lives changed, hearts healed, and hope restored, all through Ozzy's music. And the ripple effect wasn't just emotional. The economic impact of the procession was equally extraordinary. Hotels in Birmingham were fully booked for days leading up to the event. Local businesses saw their best sales in years, as fans purchased Black Sabbath merchandise, flowers for the memorial, and meals during the wait. Birmingham's tourism board estimated that the tribute generated over $10 million in a single day. Managing such a massive crowd was no easy feat, but thanks to the Osbourne family's careful coordination with the Birmingham City Council, everything ran smoothly. More than 200 police officers were deployed, along with hundreds of volunteers from local metal fan clubs. The public transportation system was temporarily overwhelmed, with additional buses and trains brought in to accommodate the influx. Despite the sheer scale of it all, there were no incidents, just a massive outpouring of respect and unity among fans, who helped each other navigate the sea of people. As for the medical teams on standby, they were kept busy, but not because of violence or disorder. They treated dozens of fans who became physically overwhelmed by the emotional intensity of the event, dehydrated from tears and the summer heat. It was a profound testament to the power of music, grief, and love. The musical tribute itself was a beautiful surprise. The Boston Brass Band, which had accompanied the procession, played Black Sabbath classics in a traditional British brass band style. Songs like Iron Man, Paranoid, and War Pigs took on a new life in this arrangement, deeply moving and haunting, capturing the raw power of Ozzy's music while adding a new layer of emotional depth that many fans hadn't fully appreciated before. For many, it was a moment of revelation. Hearing those familiar songs in an entirely new context made them realize the strong melodies and emotional depth that had sometimes been overshadowed by the heavy production. Even the weather seemed to join in the tribute. Birmingham, which had been soaked by weeks of British summer rain, saw the skies clear up just as the procession began. The sunshine lasted throughout the day, and as the procession came to a close, a dramatic purple sunset filled the sky. Many fans took it as a final blessing from Ozzy himself. Meteorologists later confirmed the weather was unusually clear for the region, sparking jokes that even nature was honoring the Prince of Darkness. After the public procession, the family held a private funeral service at a small church in Gerrard's Cross, Buckinghamshire. Only immediate family and close friends attended, a quiet contrast to the large-scale celebration of Ozzy's life and legacy. The duality of this Ozzy, as the larger-than-life rock icon and the devoted family man, perfectly encapsulated the man himself. The aftermath of the procession was as remarkable as the event itself. Black Sabbath Bridge, already a place of homage, became a permanent pilgrimage site, with fans continuing to leave flowers and tributes. Birmingham's City Council announced plans to create a memorial garden near the bridge, funded partly by donations from fans worldwide. There's even been talk of renaming Birmingham Airport after Ozzy, an idea that's gained over 500,000 signatures. This tribute has left a global imprint. Other cities are now planning their own memorial events for local musical legends, inspired by the way Birmingham honored Ozzy's. The event has been studied by crowd control experts and grief counselors alike, offering valuable insights on how to manage massive gatherings and help communities process collective loss. Social media footage from the day has become some of the most widely shared in history. Professional photographers who captured the event have donated their work to a permanent archive set up by the Birmingham Music Heritage Foundation. These images aren't just of a massive crowd, they captured the faces of people mourning, celebrating, and sharing in a collective emotional journey. Perhaps most remarkably, mental health professionals have noted a positive outcome from the tribute. Many fans reported that participating in the tribute helped them process their own grief, not just over Ozzy's death, but over other losses they had experienced. Support groups have formed around this shared experience, creating a unique and lasting bond among fans who were there. The international media coverage was unprecedented for a musician's tribute. News outlets from across the globe covered the event live, calling it a cultural phenomenon. They helped introduce Ozzy's music to new audiences, even those unfamiliar with heavy metal, by showing the love and unity among his fans. And finally, the small memorials placed throughout Birmingham, marking important locations in Ozzy's early life, were discovered by fans during the procession. A bronze plaque near his childhood home read, "Here lived John Michael Osbourne, 1948 to 1963, before he became Ozzy and gave the world the gift of heavy metal." These hidden markers, placed anonymously by the city council years before, suddenly became significant, bringing attention to the roots of the man who would go on to change the world. Ozzy's funeral was more than just a public goodbye. It was a powerful reminder of the enduring power of music, the bonds it creates, and the legacy it leaves behind. It was a tribute unlike any other day that will never be forgotten. The funeral procession of Ozzy Osbourne became more than just a tribute. It became a testing ground for new technologies, bridging gaps and creating experiences that spanned across the globe. The city of Birmingham, along with environmental groups, took steps to ensure that the memorial tribute flowers and biodegradable items were composted and used to build the planned memorial garden, leaving behind a legacy of sustainability. Alongside this, the city implemented an impressive recycling program, achieving a 95% recycling rate from the 50,000 attendees, setting a new standard for how large public events can minimize their environmental footprint. But it wasn't just about the logistics. It was about the community. Fans had already started organizing themselves long before the procession began, setting up carpools, arranging shared accommodations, and providing meals for those who had traveled from afar. What started as a fan-driven act of coordination blossomed into something far greater. These networks, originally born from a love of Ozzy's music, transformed into permanent support systems for people facing grief, mental health struggles, and other life challenges. The procession unintentionally created a global network of mutual support, showing just how far Ozzy's influence reached in a twist that no one saw coming. The procession also had an unexpected impact on international diplomacy. Government officials from countries with no close cultural ties found themselves in Birmingham, paying their respects and engaging in informal dialogues. Ozzy, in death, did something many politicians struggle to achieve in life. He united people from opposing sides in a spirit of peaceful celebration, proving that music's influence can extend far beyond the boundaries of politics. The scientific community also found its own connection to the event. Researchers who study crowd dynamics, acoustic phenomena, and mass psychology took note of the extraordinary events of that day. Perhaps the most fascinating occurrence was the spontaneous synchronization of 50,000 people singing Iron Man. The unprompted harmonious unity of the crowd provided new data that has practical applications in fields ranging from disaster response to urban planning, underscoring how music can bring people together, even in moments of profound grief. The effects on Birmingham itself have been nothing short of transformative. The city has fully embraced its identity as the birthplace of heavy metal, launching educational programs in schools about Black Sabbath's impact on global culture. The Birmingham Symphony Orchestra has even begun incorporating metal-inspired pieces into their performances, and local museums have expanded their exhibits to reflect the city's rich musical heritage. What was once a post-industrial city searching for its identity is now the proud guardian of one of the most influential musical movements in history. As we continue to reflect on what transpired on July 30th, 2025, one thing is undeniably clear. Ozzy Osbourne's funeral procession was far more than a farewell. It was a testament to the power of music to create community, to heal wounds, and to bring out the best in humanity, even in times of loss. The real impact of the day lies not in any single moment, but in the collective evidence of a life spent, creating art that genuinely made the world a better place. The sight of 50,000 people from every walk of life, every age group, and every corner of the world gathering in perfect harmony to honor Ozzy's legacy proves that, despite the divisions and negativity we often face, music is the universal language that unites us. Sharon Osbourne's decision to stand before that sea of people and raise her hand in her husband's signature peace sign wasn't just a gesture of gratitude. It was a promise that Ozzy's spirit of love, unity, and hope would live on through his music, long after his physical presence was gone. If this story of love, loss, and the unifying power of music has moved you, just as it moved everyone who witnessed it, show your support by hitting that like button. Osbourne's funeral proved something undeniable, that when someone dedicates their life to bringing joy to others, that joy doesn't end with death. It multiplies, it spreads, and it becomes part of something eternal. The Prince of Darkness may have left us, but the light he ignited in millions of lives will continue to shine, reminding us all that rock and roll isn't just music, it's a force for love, unity, and hope in a world that needs all three.